Okay, well, part two. This is all going to go up on YouTube the same day anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to stitch it together. It'll be 2 videos, but
Absolutely.
I'm going to play the next mission.
Mission 7? Is that right?
I think this is this is mission 7.
Mission
Cool
7.
part about this mission is that
8,
it
isn't
used
it?
to be these two missions used to be flip-flopped.
It's 8.
No, we're on. Yeah, wait, or is it 8?
Oh yeah, it must
Oh,
be
it is 8.
right.
It's 8.
It used to be 7. And now it's 8.
Yeah, it's changed.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it still happens.
I was thinking, like, wait.
Because because Grey Company used to come after Osgiliath. Spoiler, yeah, Osgiliath is next. Even though I know everyone by now who's watching the stream has probably played the mission.
I would
Probably.
assume.
Yeah. But no, yeah. Grey Company used to come after Osgiliath. That was something that I wanted to see change.
Yep.
I felt narratively like because I can't talk about it. Well, I have to talk about it later. Fuck.
Yep. I remember we wanted to change the order. I think you told me, and I'm like, oh.
I did. I asked
I
Matthias
don't know.
first before asking you, Harry. I'm like, do you think
Like-
Harry would be up for this at all?
And I was honestly like, I don't know. I don't know if it would be.
An appealing idea.
Oh, we're gonna talk over this. We actually have.
Oh yeah,
another
let's talk
video.
about it.
It's been a while.
Did it change anything for you, Harry? I wouldn't have thought changing the order would have done anything.
No, so the only
right,
real
yeah.
problems would be fear of any continuity problems with carrying over units. Is that going to mess anything up? Is there anything I've forgotten? Thankfully, all I had to do was more or less change a few key things like your spell book, caps, and stuff like that, because those scale with each level. So I had to reorder those so it matched each level. And thankfully, by some miracle, that's pretty much all I had to do: change them in the files, and it just seemed to work.
Because I promised you that I would test them as much as I
tested
could.
it, and you did, and it was fine, wasn't it? So
It was
got
absolutely
off
fine.
well. You know,
Well, that little pan, like, whoa. Look at that.
Love this mission.
What's the full story then? I'm trying to think how we could describe this level in terms of its development, because I think a lot of the development happened just me and you talking in the past, wasn't it? So much of this one in particular. Most of our early conversations about Two Towers were dominated by how the hell do we do this level? You know, it's what we've got.
Yeah. Because I knew we needed new models for this, clearly. Because I also knew that you hated doing these ruins. So I figured we have to find some way to make that a bit easier and make it look better than what we could do with what we had.
I remember early prototypes of some of these buildings using the existing ruins. Going, this is what we could do with what we've got, and it looks awful. You know?
Yeah.
I
it
kept
looked
going back,
bad.
how do we do it? Complete models that are made and then put in the game as complete units. But that requires so much conception that I can't do, because I don't really have an ability to draw these things. I put them together using the bits I've got, you know. So I wouldn't have been able to translate that, or communicate that. So it was like, well, that's a problem. No, I ask you to make me a building when I don't even know what it's going to look like, you know, or how that'll work functionally.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare. That would suck.
Absolutely. You've seen my paint drawings; they're appalling. You know,
I
it'd be
wonder-
like, here's a paint sketch.
I love
Make
them.
me this. So I think so that's how we ended up on that. We agreed it had to be components you can put together easily to make a lot of different shapes quite quickly. And I spent
No, not well. I think you're missing, like, because we were very set at first on. Well, I was, because I thought it was the best idea ever. Like, we're gonna just have like complete packages of models that you can place. Like, have a room. There's a single model. You place it, and you have a room. You have a smaller room, a ruined tower, like all these single models you just place around. In hindsight, it's a horrible idea. So we wouldn't have been able to use this on other things. It's a horrible idea, but I figured, because I've been traumatized by some of these like maps that have like a whole bunch of objects. Erebor, for instance, I feel like Erebor would work much better if more of these were merged into a single object.
Right, I see. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. And then you basically said no. Let's do this instead. I was like, okay. something else.
Yeah, and I
Would have
tried to
been
really
so repetitive.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, absolutely.
a lot of work on you guys and the art team to not only come up with these things, but then put them together in a way that's functionally effective. And
That's the main thing. It wouldn't have been a lot of work to put them together, but the way they actually make them work in the mission and then gotta go back and change like a minor detail, that would have been a whole. Yeah.
Quite unpleasant. Which is why we spent so long discussing, because we were terrified of wasting our efforts and making something that wasn't going to work, you know, and
Yeah.
doing ourselves over. It's like, let's not put anything down until we've got a system we know works.
So how many individual props again? 60 for this?
Oh, it's about 57, I think. If I'm not
57 individual new models to make as Gilead.
mistaken. Yeah, exactly. That's all it uses. But equally, that's all. That's a lot of props.
Yeah, they were made initially by Al Lazabro, who's one of our modelers, and he uses a different. I'm gonna describe my pain now. He uses my trauma for the. This is. Oh, he failed, by the way. Good. Well, this is gonna be a long story.
Yeah.
My main trauma for this campaign is actually in this mission. Because Laza models things in Maya, and this I don't know why, but for some reason when he unwraps things, it doesn't translate when he has to export them to a different file type, so I can get them and do the final edits and put them all into a be able to put them in game. We got a very specific type of thing. I have to do that. I don't feel like teaching people this because it's a waste of their time. They're not going to for anything else, so I just do it. It's a waste of time, I'll just do it myself. So when you model something, you model it like a wall piece, right? And you have to unwrap the wall piece, so you put it, you flatten all the planes on it into a 2D space. You can then put a texture on it. And then texture. So you have one. Let's say you have one square wall that's intact. You unwrap that, texture that, then you take it and then you break it down a bit to have a ruined version. You don't have to then go and unwrap it again. And you may edit it a little bit, right? But you don't have to do it all again and then retexture it again. You have that done. You can make endless variations on this once you make sure that the first wall segment is properly done. That's how he did it. But then he sends it to me, and all the unwrapping is invalid, which means that 57 of these props have to be re-unwrapped manually.
It was a bad time. I remember being in voice chat with you and you were despairing.
It
Rightfully
was
so. Like it was I was watching and it was just
one of the worst things I've ever had to do in terms of modding. That sucked so bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
These were not fun.
Because you can see like you got little pillars there, right?
Yeah.
Right now on our stream, you see the segmented what are those called? The pillared like walls on top of the main walls.
Arches?
Yeah, the arches, right? Thank you. The arches. When you model this, the first time, like Laza did, you only map the one. You clone it, right? And then you put it together and you make more. I had to unwrap each and every little arch bit, every face that's on there. I had to do it by hand. And then there's like maybe 12 of these arch props. You gotta do 12 times. It was just... I'm just trying to illustrate how much this sucked for me. It took me days and days and days, full days of just work to get this done.
Yeah, I remember it was a long time. Yeah.
Yes.
And it was.
Do you remember how long it took me to get started? Because you asked me.
I keep going. How's it going? And you'd be like, fine. I'll get to them at some point.
Yeah, no. I'm glad I did them, but that broke me a little bit. I hated that so much. That was very hard to do.
It's the most useful set of runes I've ever dealt with in any Battlefield stuff. They're so functional.
Yes, and remember, Alex, I actually retextured these to look like Harad stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, they could come in handy.
I remember I came up with the individual pieces for this, and I did that in such a weird way. Some of it's just straight Games Workshop Osgiliath ruined models, right? I just went, these are good. I've got a 2D picture of these. I know these fit together well. I'll have some of these. And I played the Return of the King game. I went, that window looks nice. I'll take a screen grab of that and I'll have one of those,
Yeah.
so much of it is just pulled together from screen grabs, from bits.
Those are fun
all
little
out when I-
concept pieces you did.
Literal window shopping, Harry.
Yes.
Basically, I tried. I really was like, I need to keep this as narrow as possible. I'm trying to get the most out of these and delete anything I don't need. You know, try and prove that if I had this, here's what I can make. You know, so at least there's some idea of here's the benefit of doing it this way.
Yeah.
I know George mentioned it recently. You know, in Photoshop, having every single piece before you've made them, putting together ruins in Photoshop because you can do that so quickly. And you go, well, I think it would look like this if we did it, you know, and it would look pretty good, you know, if they're all the same, you know.
It was very convincing
together.
on my part. I mean, it convinced me.
I had to find some way of, I think, proving to at least the both of us that we could do this level better and actually have it look good. If we, you know, and not waste our time spending hours and hours making props and finding out we weren't happy with the results.
I would have skipped this whole level if we hadn't been able to
We
get these
discussed
props
it a
working.
lot. We discussed it, skipping this level multiple times, I think.
Yeah.
Because we just were like, oh, we've got no answer to how
And
to
I said
do
no.
this.
I'm like, we gotta do this.
I said that too.
This is literally the mission that I've wanted like since like the game came out.
No, I really wanted this as well, but those conversations were like, at some point you reach a point where like, I don't know what the hell
I know.
we got to do now.
Yeah.
If I can't do it, then I can't. You know what I mean? Well, we could. In the end, we did it, of course.
Yeah, we did it.
I still get kind of like, you know that feeling when you know that feeling, Harry. All of you know this feeling very well. When you're working on something and you get this anxious feeling kind of in the pit of your stomach. It's around my crotch usually. Like this pressure feeling, like fuck. Oh god, I had this on tests during high school, for instance. You know, like, oh god. This specific pressure, I had that so bad when doing these ruins. I just rushed. I made mistakes. You don't know this. I had to actually re-export everything again the second time because I made a mistake that I repeated throughout the process because I was too frustrated to fix it. And then I had to. I calmed down, and 2 days later I re-exported everything again. That didn't take too long. The hard part was done by then, but it was still at least like 2 hours of getting through everything again. Yeah.
I mean, it's paid. I mean, to you, I don't know. Obviously, it's a hell of a lot of work, but to us, I guess we've used them.
Yes, they've seen mileage.
Making this level, although I was terrified of making this level, and I would never do it again, it was really fun using the props to make it. That's what I would say. It was easy. You know, to go, I'll have a wall and a window, because I know I can put these things together, I can scale them, they look great, you know.
They're walkable, because you get a lot of the terrain in there. Because we did terrain textures, didn't we?
So I made all the terrain textures on here. A lot of them are recolorized, a lot of them are new, just because I want something that actually looks like the stone. So that was another fun thing. You know, there's not much on here that actually is original.
No.
Not much at all.
Scaffolding.
Scaffolding's true. Some of the props like statues and things, but a lot of it's redone.
But for the most part, it's new.
Bizarre process in this game to do verticality, the rooftops and everything, because you never have to consider that. I don't know what cities look like or buildings. I never did that in this game. So I was just winging it, going, ooh, I guess I'll have this building up here and I'll put a door there. You know?
Yeah.
I just never had to consider that before, and it was fun in a way, but it was also creatively. I don't know. You run out of ideas pretty quick, you know. And you go, I've got clues.
This does not look repetitive, and at any point, I feel I finished this. Is like one of the only missions that I actually finished playing from start to finish. Yeah.
I think the great benefit was because Alex took over from the end of the bigger area of the city, which is like the big buildings, and you did all the outskirts stuff. There's also a massive section, but because you did that, I think it breaks up how we both did them and the process behind it. So they all look different, thank God. Because by that point, I was definitely been copying and repeating myself much more. You know, you just have got no idea. You know,
I'm gonna do like my book report thing again, or my art class thing again. Like it makes a lot of sense because this is a very old city built over a very long period of time by different people. Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
It's like we designed it that way.
Yes.
Exactly. That was the
Cut
plan
in.
all along.
I'm gonna cut in.
Watching,
Shit. What are you gonna say, Alex? You go ahead.
no, I was going to say, watching this map come together internally with your screenshots, Harry, was mind blowing. And like, I don't know how you pieced it together without sort of a plan or a layout or anything. I absolutely couldn't have.
Me neither. I'm not very good at
It's
the
just
conceptual
unreal.
stage.
I cut and call.
I was gonna say that compared to you guys, this mission was, for my word, it was my favorite to do, and it was the one that I had the most fun on, and was the one that I made the most like custom cuts and mixed it. Yo, it was my favorite. This is my. If we didn't do the Grey Comedy mission, this would be my favorite mission. I fucking love this one. I fucking love it. It is my absolute favorite.
Note the homage to the Return of the King PS2 action games here, with the cracks in the floors, the archers. Yeah,
absolutely.
This is a prop. This is custom made. We didn't just did not exist. We created a floor prop, and then there's a map texture, a terrain texture that looks like the prop to put on there, and there's invisible terrain there. Oh god.
Those little wood planks there. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say those little wooden planks there are the vanilla bench, and that's one of the most useful props that I use.
That's
just for a generic wood piece. Yeah.
I've wondered.
Got so much out of those benches. I've never even thought about them before. But yeah, I saw you do that. I went, that's such a good idea. The bench. You can hide that really well. But yeah, when we were picking the pieces we needed, I was like trying to explain, if I had a floor piece, I can do edges of like sunken buildings, you know.
Yeah.
And in the first set, there was no floor pieces. I was like, oh no, I haven't communicated it properly. I've got no floor pieces, you know. Thankfully, even I can and rotated a few of them, you know. They're some of the handiest things in this.
I'll be honest. I'm gonna be very honest. I haven't said this before. I knew you wanted the floor piece. and I also knew that you wanted. I thought you wanted the floor piece, but you also wanted those things to be like upright to use as like.
I wanted both
wall
pieces. That is true. I wanted.
When I was going through the process, I was like, "Fuck these floor pieces." I don't want to do them. And I just figure I sometimes do this where I'll just, leave it out and see what happens. Yeah. And it didn't work. She asked for it. Okay,
where's my floor?
Yeah. I'll go back to it. Yeah. No, that is true.
But yeah, they're one of the handiest things. Fair enough. It took a...
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how you get nervous about asking voice actors to redo a line, and then you're like, Harry can design this ruined city without any flaws.
Any flaws? I'm fine with that.
Yes. I don't know. It's because I know Harry. I know that if Harry thinks that I'm fucking with him, he'll tell me, and I'll know, right? Yeah.
This was a weird map to do because originally I had it more streamlined. It was a lot of filler. Like you think, unlike other maps, you think I've got to make this functional bit of the building, but I've got to make everything around it also look just as sensible and reasonable. So this area going through now originally was just there for eye candy, really. I was just going to have Faramir and his guys run through to show you they were moving, but not control them or whatever. It was only later I thought, well, I've made it. I may as well let you control them through it and run through it.
It's like the Lego game. Lego game, you switch back and forth between the two.
Hey, do you?
Yes. Very cool.
They stole that idea from us.
Bastards.
That was a joke before the Warner Brothers lawyers started to get on their ass.
That's true.
Oh,
God.
God.
Joke.
I was going to say, Alex, I'm sure you found using these props, they're some of the handiest, especially if you're doing ruins, Like, it's
definitely.
hard to go back to anything vanilla.
Yeah, and you couldn't do this in any other way.
Yeah, no, there's not enough vanilla props to ever make an Asgiliath like this.
They're not modular props, they're ones. They're all their own little things. They don't mesh
their own
together.
Little things, yeah. They're too
the
green.
Way we do.
Exactly. Green going on with them too.
Because even the way we do like ruined tops of walls, which is a separate object, so you can have some that are intact, some that are ruined. You get that flexibility in those options if you want to change things, and it makes this so much more possible than it would be otherwise.
The only downside, I guess, is that it just takes so many objects and so much work to piece it together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it takes a long time to do a small area. You know, you say to mesh. I'm sure you found mesh everything together and do that. It works in this level because it's quite narrow and small. You know, you can get away with it. But oh my God, you couldn't do this over any big space. The game would grind to a halt.
I'm just trying to like wrap my head around doing it at all. Honestly, I could not do this. I know how World Builder works. You know, I've done some map stuff in the past.
I hate geometric shapes like this. I hated.
But how? Because that's why I know how to place these things. And then I watched Cal work on World Builder map like last year. And I'm like, I could never do this. And I see this, and it's like so much worse in terms of effort. I could never even like. It's just because World Builder sucks to work with a lot of the time.
It's not great.
No,
yeah, in other ways,
it's very limiting.
True. I found it was much harder on the. There is the functional side of it, having to move every prop into the right position and scale it and bring it down. Yeah, but there's that aspect to it.
It's like painting, really. And...
yeah, there's all that technicality behind it. But knowing what the hell I'm going to put in this place, because I've got, you know, I had a few buildings laid out, but then it's like, I don't know what I'm going to put in this big square. What building's going to fit here? What do I want it to do? Because we had no mission plan for this. There was none. There still isn't. You look at it.
Well, yeah, no. We had a mission plan.
We discussed what we wanted, didn't we?
We had one. But
there was no
mission
detail.
plan. No, the plan was very simple. Do you remember that Return to the King game for PS2?
Sure.
Do that.
Do that.
Exactly. So that's all we had. There's no. This has to happen in this. It's just we'll just do that game somehow. So
yeah.
But,
Did you
do? Great in a way.
Did you do any just sketch layout or anything like that, or do you just wing it and just kind of find it as you go?
I just wing it. Just wing it. I don't think I'd understand my own conceptualized sketches. If I drew them, I wouldn't know what I'd drawn. I'd be like, I don't have the skill.
Eric is such a weird, rare talent for this. Because it's so weird. I could not imagine doing this without a sketch. I got to sketch it out so I know what I'm doing, at least somewhat, you know.
I mean, especially this. Like,
yes.
Other maps, you could kind of wing it and it would work. It's just a sort of landscape, but yeah.
This one was the one. If I had to communicate with it, this is one where I would really. It's just looking at it in a space and going, I guess I'll make this one raised up, and maybe I'll give it another level, you know, and you just go from there. It's not very well structured in terms of a creative process.
But it was a working path that just goes through, and everything just looks like it's completely planned out.
That's luck, yeah. Well, it's not luck, but you know, it's like.
It's not luck. No, it's not. It's definitely not luck.
It's so many weird quirks in this level compared to normal. You know, how do I make this look ruined, but also like it wasn't at one point? How do I make it look like I've not intentionally stuck every path in? It's really obvious, you know. And how do I loop for myself? So I'd have to keep making new areas. There's a lot of that.
I just can't wrap my head around that. I just can't. I just never do that. Yeah, it really is. This is incredible to me.
And you got to. I mean, you said it before, Harry, but you got to. Oh, sorry. You got to also kind of imagine at least the pre-ruined version of all these buildings as you're designing these ruins to make it look convincing. You can't just kind of whack walls and columns around.
No,
wherever.
Matthias, look.
Zooming on the base.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the thing. You put statues on without like a plinth.
What's wrong with that?
What kind of madman does that?
That's not how they make statues, Harry.
I bet I could find you a statue with no plinth.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
It's
Find me a
gonna look
19th
like
century
shit.
statue.
And the point is that they look like shit.
Find me one.
Bunch of ugly Anthony Gormley ones, I think they're just like this, but they're out in like the middle of nowhere, so they're already quite weird looking.
I'm not talking about modern art. I'm talking about
Classic.
Look at those four pieces coming in handy there. Look at that. That's your work. That's what you enabled through that pain, sweat, and tears.
Look at that ceiling piece right there, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. Absolutely.
Looking
That's what you
lovely.
enabled. But one thing I did was stupid when I first did this map is all those ravines you just walked over on that bridge. I didn't bother making those functional. just left the terrain blank, and I just sunk everything. And went, well, no one's going down there. Why waste terrain on it? And I'll just sink every prop. Then I went later on. Oh crap! I want it to be functional, so I had to sink the terrain and relay out all the props so they lined up.
Oh
again.
no!
It was the dumbest thing. It was the dumbest decision I made. I went, oh dear, I've made a poor decision here. I'm trying to make my life easier. I've made it a lot harder.
This bit I love, like the gravel of the gravel texture, like
Yes.
rolling down the hill. That's the kind of stuff that I really like those terrain details. That gets me. I love that.
And this part looks great. Looks like a Gilead.
Great thing about these props is you can scale them quite a lot and they hold up very well. So they have big feature fronts, you know, it looks good, you know. Doesn't look blown out proportion or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the texture for this is very strange for these props. It's a single texture. All these props are mapped to one texture. It's a 512, 5.5. It's a very small texture, honestly. It's it takes up the bricks basically take up all of the room, and all the smoother stuff, or maybe the little ruined brick stuff, is a very small strip on the texture.
Okay.
I did this because texture space matters. If it was twice as big, it would have lagged more and would have crashed earlier. A very conscious decision, and I scaled it down significantly, and it holds up. Those bricks are, you know, readable still. So a bit of a gamble, but it worked.
That looks great, yeah.
I wish they were all high res, but you just can't do that. So.
You could have a bigger city, but I didn't have to make it. That would be cool, and it didn't lag. That would be awesome to see.
Yeah. If only we weren't so limited all the time. But things.
Yeah. You can see even in this level, we've tried to make the most use out of the space and narrow everything down and smush it in. So, you know, we're not wasting any of our memory on all these objects, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's got a ridiculous per square area object count. This level is probably ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Squished in there.
Remember the story of Meneldel's Square? You had like a different name for it, and I couldn't handle that name.
I just called it the center, the square, whatever it was called.
Ah, yeah, that's it. Like, well,
you plucked all those names out somewhere, and
Lothro. A lot of these names were from Lothro, yeah. Meneldel's Square.
the plinth.
We're back again.
I do very much appreciate you actually going back and adding a plinth.
Oh, and it's actually.
Yeah, because I can't handle it. It's just the look of it is so off. It's not how that looks.
Ooh, jumped up the cliff.
I don't care.
They've got their own process. That's how they roll. Cool.
Don't deny their reality.
Oh, well, that's theirs.
Yeah,
You can keep it.
yeah.
The orcs are confusing your guys, aren't they?
Yeah, the archers are. They always have a problem in this section. The archers are pretty much useless.
You got your arrow volley. Yeah.
I don't know about it.
We don't lose too many guys before you get to the next bit.
Yeah.
Just kind of looking at you. There you go. Guys are the most annoying orcs under the sun. Yeah, it was a few weeks, I think, doing this. Yeah, it was like August. It was like a big chunk of August doing this level. Just doing like at lunch, being like, I'm gonna try and make another building. You know, I just stitched that bit in.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You did it at lunch. So yeah.
Yeah. It was an excellent stream to watch you guys play through because it was one of the few where it was like, we don't really need to do anything to this. It's just fine, you know. Just tweak some things here and there, give some new names, and we'll just leave it as is, you know, which is I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. Some things have to develop. When you don't have to change something, it's like, oh, great.
God, yeah.
I can not stress about this level anymore from the beginning of us talking.
I share that feeling as well. You know, when that happens, I'm very happy because then I don't have to. It's uncomfortable, you know. Sometimes you gotta go in and say, well, okay, this or that.
We have to tell you. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna redo this.
'Cause we discuss strategies on this sometimes, Harry. You don't know that, but Kyle and I will be talking. Like, how are we gonna?
How are we
how are we
gonna
gonna?
talk to Harry? How are we gonna tell Alex about this? How are we gonna
Yeah.
tell any of them?
And what's the best like approach?
Because
How can we minimize the amount of pain that we are about to inflict? You know.
Because you and I, like, we've worked together for so long now, we kind of know how each other think, so we know how to talk to each other and usually agree with each other.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know.
As a shorthand that I don't have with everybody, so I know.
So it wouldn't be, even if you did, it's always going to be crap news, no matter who it comes from. You've got to redo certain things, But it happens with both sides. I do the same thing when I need to get something out of you. I was like, how can I present this in a way where I'm more likely to get it, What's the most alluring prospect,
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why you stream a finished product when you think, this is pretty good, this is good enough,
Oh, that's
Not too far
amazing.
away.
Yeah, that's how you do it, because then I have to work within the context of what you've already made. If you start showing me things that are like very much in progress and it can kind of go anywhere, but you have something in mind that you want to do, but it could go anywhere because you haven't done it yet. Then I can go anywhere, and you can get thrown off, and we have to hold debates on this and that. This is the best way to do it. It really is.
It's only a system and process, hasn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Clearing out the whole thing as well. A lot of people miss these guys on the right, and they go straight to the whatever that place is called. I can't remember now where the hobbits are hiding.
I have no idea.
Nelpil Square.
As well. I don't know if maybe that is that. I think it was called something else now.
Isildur or something?
Yeah, I think that's right. What did I say there? I've completely forgotten that. Oh, they missed the trolls. Then when they're dealing with the fell beast, they've just got two trolls that walk in from the right and start, demolishing the archers they've got left. It's like, oh no, that's a bad choice. You want to go around and explore as much as you can in this one, everything out of it.
There's some new duck ones that we have in there.
The orc.
No, orcs and men.
Oh.
This last release, 7.0, was also the release of the death lines for a lot of units. A lot of stuff got new death lines and
Deathline release.
sounds and
The deathline release.
Cries of pain. The best one being Gorg,
That's a real symbolism.
That troll has cornered you.
Cries of release.
No, pain.
Oh, just pain? Oh, well, that's just the mod.
Hashtag themes.
Ah! The themes. No, that was Woodland Realm. Oh my god, these trolls are...
They cornered you. That's not what you want.
No, I'll be fine.
You sure? Madrill is, is a squishy boy.
Not looking as happy as he could.
We're good.
Got like some blood trickling from his mouth,
Hmm. That's sad.
Limping. Kind of a weird look at his face and brain damage.
They've sent scouts.
They keep saying that line. They sent scouts. They've sent scouts.
Yeah.
They've sent scouts. What a meme, this guy.
The Ring Wraith boss fight. Fucking
Jerry.
Finally comes back. We're going to have that same mechanic from the game as well. We had to hide from him at certain points. I'm glad we didn't bother with that, but
Oh, that's right. That's right. We were going to do that. Yeah, what happened to that?
It was going to be more of a presence. I think it was something to do with the confines of the map, and because we didn't really have cover, all the buildings didn't have roofs. So it was hard to know what the hell is cover and what isn't. There's no roofs or anything.
Yeah,
everything's open.
Yeah.
So when are you vulnerable?
No,
like the tight. This area's a bit open, but back there, because everything's so smushed in.
I remember this discussion now. Yeah, we've had this discussion. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
Don't have enough archers here. This guy really doesn't have enough.
Not school voice lines. Yes. Just like Cargast, Cal voiced this Nazgul. I'm like, ooh, yeah, we got some new Nazgul voice lines for the heroes in the skirmish faction as well. He's so good at this these evil characters.
Loves his evil guys, didn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Faramir, the orcs have taken the eastern shore. Their numbers are too great.
Oh my god, the timing for
nightfall
the
we'll
music
be
of this
overrun.
part was a nightmare.
Stay here. Keep out of sight.
Holy Christ. This was another one. This was another like Gandalf situation.
That's where we're going.
Gandalf the White showing up. I had to like time it.
To the mountain of fire.
When the fuck?
Please. It's such a burden.
Good Gollum.
It is such a
Will you
burden,
not
Sam.
help him?
I think at last we understand one another, Frodo Baggins.
You know the laws of
Again,
our
another
country.
reason why your
The
YouTube
laws of your
videos are so
father.
good.
If you let
The
them
ones
go,
that you,
life will be forfeited.
the cinematic ones that you post.
And it is for
There.
Release them.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what you said, so I was looking at Gollum.
Oh, the YouTube, the cinematics. When you
Because
posted
they had the
YouTube
music.
videos.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yes.
Even try to be a bit quieter on those now when I can, because I think, well, no one else is going to upload this without talking over it, or without the music on, so I better be, you know.
Oh no, I
facing
meant the
screen.
cinematics, so that when I can time them. up.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, because I did. I
Those-
did. Should.
I mean, your new
Preview
ones are
stuff.
good too.
There we go.
Okay, I need to save because I have died on this part
is where-
without saving.
This is where my mapping ended. You know, I got to that point, and because we had Alex by this point, you know, and it was like we're between releases. You know, we've got some Dol Gulduar's done, whatever. Woodland Realms done. Why not see if he wants to enter into this hellscape of designing a city? You know, and I didn't have a plan for you because I didn't have a plan for my area. I just went, it needs sewers, whatever that means, and we don't really have an objective, so put it out an outskirt of the city. You know?
It was a very confusing brief you gave me at the start because the little paint sketch that you sent me was backwards. You circled the wrong area or something like that, or you drew the arrow the wrong way. So I was very confused about what I had to do. But we got that.
Of course you did.
Remember, it's all faded now from my memory. I was like, he's going to do it.
Repressed.
Hooray. I'm safe. Yeah. I love seeing this area come together.
Yeah, this was some discussion
of
I think,
these-
between me and you as well, Alex. Like, what are we going to do? I seem to remember either you or with Harry. I don't remember. Like how
we
that's
discussed
what
it
it's going to be.
find cover in the woods there.
I don't know. Yeah,
I think I might have passed it on to Alex, I think. I can't remember.
Okay.
I think so, and I think I sent a fairly finished version across, and I think one of your comments was to make it greener.
Mm.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, it came together pretty quickly.
Yeah. This was a big thing for me. I really wanted to have this, like the outskirts. I'm somehow in life. I'm fascinated by the outskirts of cities. It's a thing that I have that I really enjoy. Yeah. When I would drive into a new city, or you're on a train, you
Take me to
enter a
the
big city.
outskirts.
It's an interesting thing. Yeah, I like the outskirts of cities. I don't know why the industry you get, like the rundown buildings, the street art that's all over the place. I don't know. There's something
A
about
little bit more outsider, aren't they?
Fair enough, yeah. Just shut the gate on yourself, Carl.
Oh, I did.
Careful, sometimes they like to get stuck in that spot, apparently. So
Oh, don't.
they never
remind
get
me.
there.
That happened to
There you
me.
go.
I was the first one to have that
Yeah.
happen to.
Bugger. Don't know why.
I have no idea. Someone. Oh no.
Oh, it's the same
no.
thing! You did it!
You've done it.
What about if you use a power or something?
Isn't that what someone said they did?
Try to get him to run afterwards or something. Such an annoyance, it's just that one gate.
Oh, cock.
You can make your save though, so you can just
I
quickly
did.
reload that if you need to.
I did.
Such an annoying little one, that one. Don't know why it happens.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
It's
But I'm gonna blame you, Harry. That
Yeah,
right
why
there
not?
is all your
Blame
fault.
me? Why not? I did it on purpose.
I knew it.
No, I loved seeing these ruins come together and have nothing to do with it because it was like I get to the beginning of this level is so built up, it's so over the top, kind of it's so grand and whatever, and it almost descends. If you could look at a profile of this map from right to left, it descends to be much lower, more decayed, more overgrown ruins, that are a bit shorter and scales a bit smaller, I liked that an awful lot. It just seeing how different it was. Because if I had to do it, it just would not have been this varied. Always nice to see something else done differently. And I don't have to do anything with it.
Yeah, it was tricky to get
Seriously
that
cool.
different character without it looking too much the same as the inner city. Having it sort of a little bit more open and.
There's a lot more props though, it looks like, to differentiate the buildings, individually. There's a lot of foliage, there's a lot of little benches used an awful lot, to give it that slightly different look. Whereas it's quite cold at the beginning of the level. There's not much going on there. It's just quite stark brick, for most of it. And I was very much a fan of that. And this sewer with the little grates, because they were, I don't even know what that prop's from. I know it's not original in the game, but it existed in the mod, and I've never seen it used.
It was used, I think the Care and Ross map maybe had that. Old Care and Ross map was in the first couple of versions of Fidget Rain. It's been removed since.
Quite an old prop then.
Yes, very old.
Okay. Yeah. That worked perfectly.
Works well, though.
When you meshed it. Yeah, when you meshed it into that little thing and made it great, yeah.
Look at the ivy.
Especially as there's no plan. There was no plan for what the sewer would do. The maze was absolute afterthought of, we're going to do this sewer that we've made.
Do this, yeah.
Guess we'll put a maze in it.
It must be so tempting. You just put a bunch of orcs in there and run through it and then get to the end. That's
Absolutely.
it.
I thought, well, I considered different ways. I was like, maybe we could have it collapse if you go on one end to force use the other end, blah, blah, blah. But I thought, well, if we can make a maze, why not try? I was fully expecting to have to take the maze out of it in one way.
Oh, really?
But levels
What's
rely
that?
on mazes, and sometimes that's...
Oh, right. Okay,
I
no.
didn't want to make it too much of a hobbity level, and not hopefully, I don't know. I didn't want the focus to be the maze. I wanted it to be an interesting thing to do, to force you to split up. This was harder. You know what I mean? The maze only has a function to make you explore the rest of this map, so you don't just run through it in one go. That was the only reason it really exists,
Yeah.
Which it does,
It boggles my mind, how you even come up with this. Because I'm stupid. I can't do these things. These puzzles, I suck.
I
And
don't remember.
how do you even make this? I don't understand it. This
I
misses
don't remember how I came up with the order. Although it did have a, it was pretty good, but there was a fair. This was one of the things Max spent so much time helping me code, or doing the coding for it, because it was this. And it's such a boring technical problem, but there was a problem with the gate toggle where the gate doesn't trigger that it's toggled for half a millisecond too long. You can basically double click the button to open and close the gate, which breaks the sequence of everything. Because everything has to be so closely monitored. That was breaking everything. People were going, click it again,
Yeah.
And he spent ages with me. He was so patient with me. I was like, Max, we need to somehow get rid of this millisecond or find another way of doing this, because it's going to break. I mean, nobody is going to have the patience to wait. They're going to immediately go click, 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 100 times to try and get through that, But yeah, he was, he's so patient, that guy, there was no problem. He didn't mind.
He's also
Especially
a modest genius. Yeah, so yeah.
He eventually, he kind of knew what I wanted, but he did all these different versions to try and help it work, and God, he did, because it would be terrible. I didn't like people getting soft lock in this. That was unfair, I didn't want to ruin the rest of the level by you getting, done in by a dumb puzzle that I haven't thought through. How different bits go together.
Yeah, Max is the low key engine that makes Agent the Ring tick for a lot of things that are really unique to Agent the Ring, that are really cool. They only work because he somehow knows how to do these things.
Actually, yeah, campaign problem solving, especially, yeah, he's invaluable,
Yes.
And Arthur, of course, now as well. Between the two of them, yeah, did an awful lot. This was one that very late in development. I was like, I've got to try and explain this to Max and ask you to help me fix it, because I don't really understand it, but I know it's not working.
I would ask how he fixed it, but it's not going to mean anything to me because I don't understand.
He basically found a way of timing it so you weren't able to click it before it wanted you to, if that makes sense. So you could not sequence break it by accidentally double clicking it or whatever. So,
Right, yeah.
Thankfully, not something we have to worry about in this, because it would not be fun.
It never happened to me when I played it.
Oh, but I think you're probably more patient, though, I imagine.
I guess so. You wouldn't
We
think
have to
so.
play it over and
but-
over. No. No. There you go. Done. That made you confusion.
Which
where we
one?
find
Don't I
out,
have to make one of them go up so I can get this one? Which one?
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this?
you do.
Is it this front one?
I think. Who did you send? Who opened the final gate? Was it Faramir or Frodo? I can't remember who you sent to the middle.
I don't even. Oh,
It's the Faramir one you have to open to let Sam through, because he's now stuck behind one. That was a fun thing. When you finally open them all up, also making it kind of, shoot about a bit. That stuff's quite
Unlock
fun and
report
interesting to
Sam.
do.
oh my God, Sam, why are you going that way for?
Feel like you made these grates for me, Matthias, didn't you?
I
actually made a nicer
remade
version.
them. Yeah, you
you
used an
did,
old
yeah.
prop before, but they didn't work the way you wanted them, so I remade them, and then I remade them again because the animation wasn't working right.
That's right.
Yeah.
They lifted up instead of
Because now
down.
they did. Right, so they would all be quite obvious, and it was acceptable. But you think if we can, it would be quite nice to do that.
Yeah, and then yes, and then the remake that I did, it went the right way, but I designed the animation in a way that I thought would make it easy, but it made it impossible.
Wasn't it right
So
angles to itself or something? Wasn't it?
yes, it was that, but then also just the way I set up the animation. I talked to Max about this. It wasn't with
Oh,
you,
fair enough. Yeah.
and he said you just need to do it again. I was like, okay, let's do it again.
Oh, fair enough.
It takes like 2 seconds. It's fine.
No, fair enough.
This ending.
The biggest effort is finding the object again in my folders because it's a mess.
Captain Faramir, you've shown your quality, sir. Very highest.
Shire must truly be a great realm, Master Gamgee.
Great, there's a great right
Is
there.
held in high honor. What road will you take once you reach the woods?
Gollum says there's a path near Minas Morgul that climbs up into the mountains.
Kiradungle. Frodo, they say a dark terror dwells in the passes above Minas Morgul. We cannot go that way.
It is the only way. Master says we must go to Mordor, so we must try.
I must.
Go, Frodo. Go with the goodwill of all men.
Thank you.
They drop.
Like the focus on Baron there.
It was hard
Right.
trying to come up with music to use for that. I had no idea. Oh boy!
Yeah, that'll be good for the next set.
Wow.
Oh man.
Only getting there.
Bones.
Yeah, that was a tricky level to make for a lot of reasons, but it was a fun one in that I don't really have many bad memories of it. It went well, and I
Good.
really like that we got something very functional out of it for skirmish, because I think those are so helpful. Those props,
Yeah.
If you do any maps, anybody who hasn't played with the world builder should
Should play.
they
with
like
the
making
World
maps,
Builder.
open up and mess with them.
Yes,
Very
pick
fun,
up the
yeah.
World Builder. It's up on Revora.
Absolutely,
Yeah, go get it.
it's
if you want
evident
to
what
use
you
it.
can make with it.
Unexpected plug.
All
About
right.
10 years too late, but
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna end the stream here. 'Cause I'm done doing the talkie. I got tired. Thanks, Alex, for joining. This is very cool to have
pleasure.
you
So
here.
much. I'm glad you're able
This
to
is
make
very
it.
cool.
it's very fun.
Um,
Have to do it more.
yes,
Oh, yeah?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I would be pretty cool if you could be here for the next one. If you could plan it somehow. Just saying, it would be cool. It would be
Yeah,
really
see
cool.
how we go.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Love it.
Oh
God.
no.
We should just do it now.
No! I
agree,
knew this
let's
was
do
gonna
it.
happen.
Imagine we'd be like doing Helm now. Oh my god.
No, I'm not doing that.
Oh no.
I don't have the energy for that. I want to install
No.
Orcs Must Die.
Yeah.
Just say bye-bye then, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. We're gonna end the stream now. Thanks for
Okay.
watching, everybody.
Thanks for
We will-
watching.
We'll finish the campaign next time. Bye bye.
Yep.